What's going on, y'all? OJ back here with another video. Today, we're here to talk about some of the best memes that came out of 2025 when it comes to UFC and in general the MMA space. All right, I'm going to be talking about a couple of memes you've probably seen on Instagram, TikTok, sometimes even YouTube Shorts, you name it. All right. As someone who is chronically online, I'm pretty in tune with most of the popular memes that have gone out throughout the year. With that being said, though, I'm going to be ranking them based on my honest assessment. I have not included every single one, though, so maybe if I forgot one, leave a comment down below and I'll give an honest rating about that. But for now, without wasting any more time, let's jump right into the video. All right, first off, we're gonna start off with an absolute classic here. We got send him 2, 3 years, Dagestan, and forget. Right now, I think this is a very wholesome meme. Right, it really characterizes Islam's funny personality well. Especially in the moment when he was talking to DC about wrestling, about how DC's son should go to train in Dagestan for 2, 3 years in if you want high wrestling. And then he's negotiating down to 6 months and one phone call. Overall, a very wholesome meme to start off the year of 2025. It's also very mainstream because Islam Makhachev, in my opinion, currently is the face of the UFC. So I think no doubt about it, Islam Makhachev, 2, 3 years Dagestan and forget automatic S tier. Right now, moving on though, we got Marab emoting on Umar Nurmagomedov. I'm gonna put this in the B tier. Right, I liked it at the moment. Right, when Marab was emoting in order to beat Umar Nurmagomedov. If anything, Marab kind of made it a trend to just look optically, conditioned compared to your opponent. Because low key, I do think Umar Nurmagomedov could have won at least the first 2 rounds. All right, the third round was kind of close, but I kind of gave it to Marab because of visuals. But that's the thing, though. All right, Marab Davashvili has really changed the meta of the fight game because he is the only guy that I know of that can actively win fights via emoting at the opponent. Now, to be fair, this is absolutely hilarious because we see Umar Nurmagomedov failing a takedown and falling over as Marab is laughing at his face. All right, I think that's pretty funny, but I just think there are better memes compared to Marab laughing at Umar in this situation. But it's a pretty funny meme nonetheless. All right, now up next though we got the Great Redeemer Anshul Jubilee. I'm debating on whether it should be S tier or A tier. I'm gonna put it in the A tier for now, though. Right? Anshul Jubilee, if you guys don't know, is the only male Indian fighter in the UFC, and prior to getting slept out by Quillen Sal killed in 19 seconds, the Great Redeemer himself is talking about he's the guy who could submit Habib Nurmagomedov, who can knock out Habib Nurmagomedov. In hindsight, it's actually hilarious that Anshul Jubilee said those words, but thanks to Anshul Jubilee acting all cocky, right? Now we get to experience one of the greatest memes of all time, which is watching Quill and Sal killed, redeem Anshul Jubilee himself. Hopefully he can go on another redemption arc, alright? Hopefully the UFC doesn't just cut him straight out because he's not that good of a fighter in my opinion, but still, we need Anshul Jubilee so we can continue to clip farm more and more memes as time goes on. Moving on though, we got Neil Magny's Soul. All right, I'm gonna put this in the D tier. Ian Gary was interviewing Full Violence when he was fighting Carlos Prates, and Ian Gary in this interview was talking about I took Neil Magny's soul. All right, Carlos Prates just took out my leftovers and all that crap. Like I hate Ian Gary. Like I'm gonna put this in the D tier automatically, just because I despise Ian Gary. But even when you watch it, it's like you'll realize how delusional Ian Gary is. Because did Ian Gary beat Neil Magny in a one-sided fight? Yes. Was it a 30-25? Yes. But we've seen other guys finish Neil Magny, like Shavkat Rakhmonov, Gilbert Burns, Carlos Prates, Michael Morales. Neil Magny did not lose his soul because you took him to a 30-25 decision, right? Neil Magny's career wasn't in jeopardy because of that. If anything, I would have been concerned after Carlos Prates flatlined him because that was two flatlines in a row. But since then, Neil Magny has bounced back, right? I get that Ian Gary is a great fighter, but the only memes I can think about him for now are the ones that make him so unlikable. Henceforth, I'm gonna put him in the D tier. All right, moving on though, I'm gonna put the Waldo Cortez Acosta eye patch. I'm gonna put this in the B tier, all right, because he's low key been making a little bit of a fan base for himself, right? Especially because of how things played out in his last two fights, right? You know how he got eye poked by Ante Dalia, Tom Aspinall's teammate, and Waldo Cortez Acosta finished Ante Dalia in the first round in a shocker. Meanwhile, Tom Aspinall, in the week previous to Waldo Cortez Acosta's fight, he got eye poked by Cyril Gane in the first round, and the fight was called off to a no contest. All right, low key, I do feel like Waldo Cortez Acosta is pretty funny, and he is doing a very good job of promoting himself like this. All right, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets a title shot in the future. If he beats Tom Aspinall, which is a huge if, I think I could move this up to the A or S tier, but because he has yet to prove himself against like an elite level heavyweight, I'm gonna put this in the B tier for now, but it could definitely move up as time passes. All right, now moving on though, we got Heartbroken Ilya Apturo. I'm gonna put Heartbroken Ilya Apturo in the C tier, mainly because we're not exactly sure what happened between him and his wife. I know Ilya Tapor has been posting a bunch of cryptic messages and stuff. All right, talking about, oh, I wanted to go to the top, but I realized the people that were with me never wanted me there in the first place. All right, bro is not Batman over here. But Ilya Apturo is heartbroken, cryptic messages. I think it's gonna be in the C tier for now. It was a short-lived meme. Now everyone's kind of calling Ilya Apturo a duck, which I don't blame them for because Arman Sarukian clearly won the number one contenders fight, and Ilya Taporia has still yet to call him out. I don't think that's looking too good for him right now. But regardless, though, when this first came out, right, when headlines of Ilya Pturo and his wife might have split apart, right? The memes were initially funny, but it didn't last that long. So I'm gonna put Ilya Pturo and his heartbroken memes in the C tier. All right, now moving on though, we got the Armin Sarukian eating. I'm gonna also put this in the C tier because there's I don't care. All right, that's all Armin Sarukian posts. Whether he's not pulling out of fights due to back injury, or fair enough when he's beating up Dan Hooker. Right. Outside of that, though, he's just kind of posting these random mukbang videos. Right. He's just flaunting that he's rich. Right. There's not much personality to it. Uh, am I being biased here? Kind of, because I wasn't really the biggest Armin Sarukian fan till like he submitted Dan Hooker, and now we got to see the fight. But at the same time, though, I just don't really care for the mukbang memes, so I'm gonna put these in the C tier. All right, moving on though, we got lifting weights with Conor McGregor. I'm gonna put this in the A tier. All right, if you guys don't remember, a couple of months back, his nudes got leaked by Azalea Banks. And in those messages, along with the nudes, Conor McGregor typed as a caption, lifting weights. I mean, you can't make this up. Right now, the only reason I'm not gonna put this in the S tier though is because oh my gosh, I can't put this in the S tier. I just can't. Right? I don't know why. Right? I know it's more funny than the 2 3 years Dagestan and forget, but let's face it, it's a little bit degenerate. And that's what memes are supposed to be. It's supposed to be a little bit degenerate, but still, though, like there's like certain group of people that would not appreciate this. And honestly, I kind of get it. So I'm gonna put lifting weights with Conor McGregor in the A tier, and we're gonna move on from there. All right, now up next though, we got the black and white Volkanovski picture. I'm gonna put this in the B tier. All right, the black and white photo of Volkanovski, low key underrated. I've seen a lot of these being used by pages like Tony Has Died. He does a very good job of using this one, not gonna lie. But like, anyways, though, this was a very underrated meme at the time. I think this was when Volkanovski was supposed to fight Diego Lopez, and it was like a few weeks out before his training camp. And this is honestly a very great photo. All right, I think this is a very good memeable face. All right, this is an overall great photo to use for memes. So I'm just gonna put this in the B tier, and we're gonna move on. All right, now up next though, we got the petition to strip John Jones. I'm gonna put this in the S tier. All right, not only because this gained so much attention, it's also because the UFC released John Jones after it. All right. Now, am I directly saying that signing this petition was the reason as to why John Jones was stripped of the heavyweight belt? Not necessarily, but at the same time, though, we've seen direct changes in the UFC following the petition to strip John Jones. All right. This really changed the game. Shout out to Tony Has Died. All right. We all appreciate Tony Has Died for creating the John Jones petition. So, automatic S tier for now. Redefined MMA media in general. And that is why we're going to put this in the S tier. All right. Moving on, though, we got Carlos Prates and Leon Edwards. I'm gonna put this in the A tier. Leon Edwards just giving Carlos Prates a bunch of noogie punches. Uh, as Carlos Prates is just blankly staring at you in the face or in the camera at least. And then Carlos Prates proceeds to knock out Leon Edwards in the second round brutally. I think that automatically gives it an A tier edge, right? Classic clip forming from Carlos Prates. It was very funny upon watching it live. And there have been a couple of great memes I've been able to make following this fight. So I'm going to put this in the A tier for now. Maybe it can go in the S tier, but certainly in the A tier at least. All right, last but not least, though, we got Fishing with Bryce Mitchell. I'm going to put Fishing with Bryce Mitchell. I'm gonna put this in the A tier. All right. Now, I don't necessarily agree with everything that Bryce Mitchell says. Okay, YouTube administration. But at the same time, though, when this first came out, like low key, it kind of made me chuckle. All right. We'll just leave it at that. All right. I'm not really gonna go into too much specifics before I get shadow banned off YouTube. But overall, Fishing with Bryce Mitchell, I think it's a pretty solid meme. Henceforth, I'm gonna put it in the A tier. All right, that's gonna be it for this video. If you guys want to see more videos like this, please make sure to like and subscribe so we can monetize this channel. Otherwise, though, if you guys want to see a follow up to Habib Nurmagomedov and his crypto scams, because Conor McGregor seems to be tweeting about that for a lot. All right, I'll make sure to make a follow up video later tonight. But other than that, though, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.